Hi guys, Ronnie here and welcome to the workshop. Today I have another cool bike build that we've just finished to show you, so let's just get straight into it. You probably already know the 3T Strada Italia. It's the bike I've been riding last year. I was present at the launch in Italy, and it's one of the very few bikes which are actually made here, carbon bikes that is, that are actually made here in Europe, and 3T make them in their factory in Bergamo, so it is very cool in itself. The design of the frame set is quite polarizing. When I had it, of course, a lot of you said that it was the ugliest bike that you have seen, and some of you really liked it. So I think for an eccentric bike like this, that's possibly a good thing, because the design has achieved what it was supposed to achieve. But of course, that's not purely for aesthetic reasons. This is a very fast aero bike that also has some different cues from other types of bikes. So for an aero bike, it has huge tire clearance up to 35 millimeters, which I will show you in a minute, and it has a lot of built-in compliance and also a relatively relaxed geometry, which is why it's perfect for this particular customer, and also the reason why it's not perfect for someone who's a bit of a freak like me and needs a long and low position just to be comfortable. So yeah, that's pretty much the Strada Italia frame in a nutshell. It has a different geometry than the standard Asian made Strada, different tube shapes, a lot more aero, a lot more bulky. As you can see, the down tube is particularly dramatic, and it's designed to fully shield a full-size round tube water bottle, which in this low position is at its most aerodynamic. Since the owner of this bike is a bit of a connoisseur as well, we have built it up with some real trick components. So as usual, let's start at the front of the bike, and as you can immediately see, it features the Dura Ace R9270 group set, which arguably has been around for a while, but it's proven and it's my group set of choice as well. That's what I recommend to most of my customers, unless they're really keen on SRAM Red. The new one is pretty good, although still not my choice. Or I will be really interested to see the new Campagnolo wireless EPS 13 speed, because it has some really cool features as seen on the Water bikes, but that's maybe still a few months off. So what we have here is quite a standard build kit in terms of that. So we've got obviously R9270 levers, calipers, not the crank, more about that later. We have a front and rear mech, of course, chain, cassette, and the rotors from Shimano with a few tweaks. The cockpit is the integrated, or not so integrated, maybe Strada Italia thing. So we've got a two-piece system. We've got the very slick Integrale stem, which is full carbon fiber, comes in a variety of sizes and completely blends in with the aesthetic of the bike. It also has a kind of a semi-internal brake hose routing, in a sense that you can change the stem actually without disconnecting the hoses, which is really damn cool. And these days they also come with the high quality K-Edge integrated computer mount with Garmin and Wahoo inserts and an optional light mount. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Wasn't there before, now you have it. So there's an easy option. Although with these 3T bars you can also fit a standard clamp style mount if so needed. Speaking of the bar, this is the Aeroflux LTD, again with the integral cable routing. So the brake hoses go through at the stem clamp area all the way here, so nothing is really visible, which is cool, of course. This is the standard 42 centimeter bar width that comes with the 56 centimeter frame. Maybe we would like to go a bit narrower in this day and age, even with this frame size, but the customer wanted to go standard, so that's fine by me. The bar tape you have on there is the much preferred by myself, at least, the Silca Nastro Cusino, which is a really high quality and very durable tape. I definitely like to use that a lot. That's basically the only one they use for these higher end bike builds. The paint job on this bike is the so-called Bianca, so it's the white version from the Italian tricolor, and then there's the Project X raw carbon finish as well, but I think this one is the most beautiful. It has a pearl white finish, really nicely done, beautiful bike. Although this is probably a heavier paint job, given that, well, the color white takes a lot of layers to make something white, which is otherwise black by nature. But here it is. I think it's really pretty, and all of these frames feature this kind of a sneak peek at the down tube, which is left bare carbon. It's masked off and there's just a thin layer on it. Really beautiful. So yeah, that's pretty much it. As you can see, we have already adjusted the stack at the front for the customer, one spacer. Yeah, this frame is quite a bit taller in itself as an equivalent tarmac, for example, or other race frames, which, as I said earlier, for a lot of people is a good thing. The handling is also more in a stable range rather than the aggressive twitchy one. Again, good for amateur riders, for beginners, or just someone who rides a lot on rough roads. So if all of these things ring a bell, then this is probably a bike for you. The wheels are the Fulcrum Speed 57s. These are also a relatively fresh release. Not supplied by us in this case. They're definitely not bad wheels, nothing super special. There are some really fancy options out there, but it fits into the Italian theme together with the Pirelli tires, which with this latest version have also caught up to Continental in terms of performance, so that's a good thing. A weird quirk of this frame is the fact that the front brake isn't mounted on a flat mount carrier but straight to the fork as you would have it on the rear triangle. BMC also use this, 3T use this a lot, and it eliminates the weight adapter that you normally would use, but it also means that you're tied to the 160 rotor in this case, although it's what most people use these days anyway. Another thing we have there is a selection of our aftermarket upgrade parts. So there's the AMP carbon brake pads, which I really like. Good stopping power, modulation, and also durability. And then also, as you can see, we have a frames and gear titanium brake pad pin, which is particularly useful in these Dura calipers, because normally you have the one for the flat screwdriver which slips off and then you can scratch the caliper when undoing it, and it's just not very convenient. This one is a Torx head, although I'm struggling to focus on it, holding the bike with my hand and the camera with other, so sorry for that. We have also some black anodized titanium bolts, which are really long ones indeed because of the fork design. So yeah, that's the front with a few little cheeky upgrades. Then if you go further down, you can also see the 3T carbon bottle cage. Real nice unit as well, and again, now this is shipped with the bike, although it would be nice if they add it too, because it's what most people use anyways. Again, some frames and gear titanium bolts, and we have of course the Dura from the derailleur, and maybe the party piece of this build, and that's the super light Cyber crankset with a 24mm titanium spindle. So again, titanium is probably a theme here, and the trusty ever reliable Power2Max NG power meter spider in the SL version as well. On it are some Cyber Metarbon 5236 chainrings, which I have been trialing in a bigger size myself previously, but yeah, the shift performance is really good. I would say 95% as good as the Shimano ones, but they're a bit loud, and I think it's the fact that this carbon plate kind of amplifies the chain noise and vibration. Otherwise, they're really nice set of chainrings and a really good match for this bike. I think they work really, really well, and they also have some nice Cyber bolts in there to match. So pretty blinged out. Then going further back, oh, and I forgot to mention there's a ceramic speed coated bottom bracket inside there as well. And actually alignment of the frame is really, really good, and the tolerances, so the fit was spot on, and the cranks spin extremely freely, so that's nice. I'm happy with that. As for the brake rotors, I forgot to mention that we have some carbon TI ones on the order, which will really add some bling to the bike, but unfortunately the wait time for those is pretty damn ridiculous. So for now it's these MT900 Shimano ones, which are okay, but not a big fan of Shimano rotors, just as not a big fan of Shimano cranks. So this will have to wait. Cassette wise, we have the 1132 Dura cassette, a nice little close range option, although most people tend to go for the 1134 these days. So this is a bit of a classic setup. Then, since this frame is a UDH frame, we also have a Frames and Gear direct mount UDH hanger in there. Yeah, for me it's just a must. A nice bike will does have to have a nice direct mount hanger. We have a bunch of these different ones for Colnago, Pinarello, Specialized in stock. So if you're running a Shimano drivetrain, this I believe you have to have. Another neat little touch is again the titanium bolt for the hanger, again from Frames and Gear. Then we have the ceramic speed oversized pulley wheel system. This is the new RS Alpha version, which has a labyrinth seal inside, well around the bearings. So it means that even if you run a very low friction type of lubrication, it will still last a very long time. And I've been trialing this over the winter and really it just works. So definitely recommended to go for this option, not the standard pulley wheel ones, because those need a bit of maintenance if you run them in a low friction configuration. Then we have the chain. Speaking of low friction, this is of course treated with molten speed wax via our regular 3-step process. So we generally apply this to all of the builds that go out of here to preserve their cleanliness and high efficiency. In the future, makes the bike maintenance a lot more easy. So yeah, that's the drivetrain part. Rear triangle, again, very distinctive shape for this bike. And yeah, the only downside to that really is that the seat post, or should I say the excess seat post, doesn't really have much to go inside the frame, so it has to be cut. Although there's still quite a room that you can play with. Now it's at the minimum, so yeah, the bike looks a bit cramped, but this position, at least the saddle position, is not yet set up because, well, I don't have the saddle from the customer yet. That will be his own. Same for the pedals, really. But anyway, we have another few cool upgrades for the seat post head itself. So here we have, again from Frames and Gear, it's a bit of a theme on this bike, the Ritchie clamps, which sometimes are hard to get where I live at least. So I went for these ones. They're nicely machined, and they also have kind of a rougher surface here on the inside, which helps because oftentimes I find that these tend to slip when you are in the extremes of the saddle adjustment range. So this one works better in that regard. And yeah, there's a titanium black and nice bolt here as well instead of the standard one. Yeah, I think a very nice bike overall. Let's have a look from the distance, so I can maybe catch all of it. Yeah, there it goes. Really nice. Size 56, by the way. Haven't actually measured the weight, but maybe if you're interested in that, then leave a comment and I'll measure it while it's still here, of course. So yeah, don't wait up. I guess it will be around 8 kilos. Yeah, really good match with the 10-volt tires, I think, as well. And the black, gloss black finish on the Dura group set also is a nice contrast to the white frame. There you have it, Strada Italia Bianca. Really happy with this build. Let me know what you think. And if you liked what you have heard about this bike and maybe think it's the right type of bike for you, or maybe if you want something on the speedier side or racier side, then of course don't hesitate to reach out to us and we can build the perfect bike for you depending on your fit specifications and use and component preferences, yada yada. So yeah, link will be in the description below. Thanks for watching and see you next time.